How you doing? You sure it'll work?
Oh, don't worry, Commander. I think we're on the right track so far. Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to the 100th instalment of the Randomiser. That's right, forget all that Pod 100 stuff from last week. This is going to be a proper anniversary special. See, for 1 week only, I've even replaced Marina with her Madame Tussauds waxwork. Anyway, we're here today on Moonbase Alpha for a very special experiment.
Kato, will you help us set up the experiment?
Naturally.
That's right, we are going to connect my brain directly to the randomizer in order to make the selection. Now, obviously this is absurdly dangerous, but thankfully we had a willing volunteer ready to test the procedure before we try it out on me.
Dr. Russell will fill you in on the medical background.
That's right, thank you, Commander.
He underwent an operation to implant a complex of fiber sensors in the cortex of his brain.
And then we connected his brain directly to the randomizer just a few moments ago. So, Eric, how are you doing? Eric? Eric? Hello?
Astronaut Eric Sparkman, deceased.
Damn it. When will they ever learn?
Well, that's no good. What went wrong, Helena?
I don't know. There was very little brain tissue left to examine. Most of it had melted.
Well, this is certainly a setback, but I still think we should push ahead. After all, I've sat through more Torchy than is probably healthy, and it didn't melt my brain too much, Tingling Bird.
Medically, I was opposed to the experiment.
Well, then why'd you let it go ahead?
Your case converted me.
Oh, don't tell me. I am your favourite part of the Jerry Anderson podcast. I hear that all the time, you know.
Yours was the undeniable success story.
Oh, darling, you flatter me. Keep it up.
All set? All set.
Right, that's it. Plug me in, and here we go. Of course, the idea is to let my brain guide the machine into making a selection. Now, there's a lot of random stuff floating around my head.
I'm a teapot! I'm a teapot!
I think if we can sift past that and maybe find something good, oh yes, I think maybe there's something there.
It's an increase in brain activity. What's that coming up now?
A number. Yes, I'm thinking of a number.
What is it?
90.
Oh. Ooh.
Hold that.
Yes, I like the sound of that. It's got a nice beat to it, hasn't it?
It's beautiful.
Yes, it is. And I'm seeing some letters now as well. C. U. Oh no, those aren't letters, those are words. I think. Yes, that's it. We've done it.
Looks that way.
We've only landed on my favourite episode of one of my favourite Anderson shows. Yes, that's right, for the 100th randomizer, here comes Joe 90 with See You Down There. Well now, I would have to say the last 10 episodes of the Randomiser, with the exception of the Cham Cham, bearing in mind the fact that I can't really remember yesterday at this point, never mind 10 weeks ago.
All I need is a little...
Most of the recent Randomiser selections haven't set the world alight, let's say that. And
years. Look, Harris, I haven't all day.
we've had the worst Jerry Anderson episode of all time, and now we have
But I expanded on
my favourite episode of
company. A verb.
a favourite series of mine.
Harris.
See You Down There. I have always loved this episode.
One day you'll realize that you just can't trample on people. You'll learn. You know the way out. Goodbye, Harris.
And what's so impressive about this episode is it demonstrates the fact that by this time, this is one of the last episodes of Joe 90 to be produced. The Century 21 had kind of realised that, you know, high-tech jets and explosions are all very nice, but we don't need them to tell an entertaining story.
Oh, it's you. They're just going into the ballroom. Make sure no one disturbs them. Orders from Mr. Clayton. Right.
With memorable characters.
No one will get past me.
So we're at the Clayton Enterprises building, this big conglomerate headed by Colonel White in his dark hair again. Joe has snuck past the doorman. And a rare attempt there to make the Robert Mitchum modelled guest puppet walk. It didn't quite come off right.
Sir! Don't shout, man. Try to remember you've left the army. We're going in, Molyneux. And bring my car to the front entrance in half an hour.
Yes, Mr. Clayton.
And there's Joe reading an issue of TV21 with Captain Scarlet on the front, which is a lovely touch. He's in the boardroom.
Clayton,
where these businessmen are having their meeting.
What are you doing in here, boy?
I didn't feel well, sir. I just came in here to sit down for a minute.
I see. You're better wait in the anteroom.
Yes, sir.
Well, let's get down to business. Now, you'll see from the figures on page 3 that the present market price is 23 and 8. Within a week, I estimate this will have dropped to 11 and 4.
Then, when the shares fall to rock bottom, they step in and buy them up. There could be up to 30 different companies involved.
And again, this is a slight gamble on the part of... this is a Tony Barwick penned episode, by the way, as is made absolutely clear later on.
You're the expert, so I suppose you understand it all. But to a layman, it sounds like out-and-out fraud.
Legalised fraud.
Yeah, talking about fraud and shares and big business in a kid's puppet show.
Touch him.
You mean to tell me Clayton can get away with it?
Mac, he's done it before.
And as far as I can see, he'll do it again.
One of the companies he has on the hook this time is Leto Machine Tools.
Lido Tools? That's owned by a guy called Harris. He manufactures specialized components of national importance. Even WIN use him on special occasions.
That's right.
Components of national importance. See, it is serious. It is very serious.
But if he's inside the law, how do we do that?
Well, I think I've got it. This is a unique situation, and we'll have to resort to unorthodox methods. But maybe the joke will be on Clayton. Here's how we do it.
Come in. Who are you?
Professor McLean, BSc, PhD, Fellow of the Royal Institute. I'm the new T-boy.
Now, I may go quiet for extended periods of this because as I said, I absolutely love this episode.
Instead,
Well, it was quite amusing. I waited till he'd finished his tea, and then I told him. Very casually, I said, "By the way, Mr. Clayton, the tea you have just drunk contained a drug, perfectly harmless, physically, but it will induce hallucinations until an antidote is administered."
Did he believe you?
Of course not. He was absolutely furious. I then said, unless he called off his next fraudulent takeover and paid back all the people he'd cheated in the past, the drug would be allowed to take effect.
what happened then, Dad?
He had me thrown out by the commissioner.
I told you.
It's such a simple idea, but it lends itself so well to little comedy moments like this. And especially
Deception.
with a show that I feel has its tongue firmly in its cheek a lot of the time anyway.
Look at the time. Off you go, Joe. You've got to be up early tomorrow. That's when the fun will begin.
But it also demonstrates how far the Super Mario Nation show's sense of humour had developed from the days of Supercar, even up to Thunderbirds, really. We don't get those moments that I always found very, very annoying in these shows of ending an episode with everybody laughing and the music going wah wah wah. This is a bit more, I wouldn't say sophisticated, but it's far more subtle than that. Which is probably why I find this possibly one of the funniest Jerry Anderson episodes of all time, but it isn't conventionally funny. It's just, oh, I adore this episode because I adore this series. Anyway, we're now arriving at Clayton's nice house. Looks to be early morning. He's got a very nice place here. Big piano, lots of lovely chairs and furnitures. And you do, if you watch these shows long enough, you do start to recognise that sofa and that grandfather clock and those curtains from all the other sort of nice stately homes and drawing rooms and such that the Anderson shows offered. And here we are in Ralph Clayton, as played by Colonel White's bedroom. He's having a nice little nap. What could possibly go wrong? Well, there could be a little boy playing a trumpet.
What's the meaning of this? Are you completely mad?
Yep,
I'd like to talk to you.
Clear off!
and that's what makes this episode work. Everybody is mad.
A little of the trumpet voluntary, Joe.
My pleasure.
Because I don't remember an Anderson episode where our heroes decide to annoy somebody into submission.
Round one to us, I think, Joe.
Which is what makes this so memorable and so exceptional to me. It's just so weird.
Good morning, Mr. Clayton.
Are you raving mad?
We came to see if you've changed your mind.
Wait a minute. Aren't you the boy who was in the ballroom? It's you playing the trumpet.
It sure is. You dig?
If anything like this happens again, I will have no hesitation in putting the whole matter in the hands of the police. And if you take my advice, you'll go and see a psychiatrist.
Crazy.
See you down there, Mr. Clayton.
Get off my property.
And in that moment, we get one of the...
See you down there.
What is clearly a major inspiration for this episode is The Prisoner, with the expression, see you down there. And they're even making the be seeing you hand gesture.
Police to cooperate.
What did you tell them, Mr. Weston?
The truth, Joe. WIN are investigating Clayton.
Which makes this a rather...
Their eye on him for some time.
It's rare to see an Anderson episode directly influenced by something from a non-Anderson series, but this episode is I've always felt very strongly is a combination of The Prisoner and A Christmas Carol.
And get in on the fun. See you down there.
And it also helps that the characters are having so much fun doing all this.
You want 5-foot gates fitted to your drive with electronic locks operated from the house.
Right. And I want it done today.
Yes, sir.
Molyneux here is also another lovely character.
Particular reason?
Don't ask questions, man. I don't care what it costs.
As we know, he used to be a soldier. He's so dedicated and loyal.
Weston, C&C, World Intelligence, London.
Mr. Weston, from World Intelligence? I don't understand.
I'm the new T-boy.
Can we get T-shirts with that on?
You too, Molyneux.
Can we get...
You down there, Clayton?
Oh, please, can we get some See You Down There or I'm the New T-Boy T-shirts? That would be just wonderful. Anyway, Joe is now being brained up once again. Who's he going to have on his mind this time? We had the trumpet player. Who will it be now? Anyway, we're back at Clayton's place. It's night time again. He's in his bedroom. What time is it? Ooh, it's either 4 o'clock or 20 past midnight, and I can't tell because the hands on the clock look to be the same length. And those new gates fitted to the front of the house, they don't stop a jet air car from just gently leaping over. Mac's now fiddling with the electrics.
Now, the doorbell. Let's see. I think if I just connect...
The puppet's tapping his chin thoughtfully with a screwdriver.
That should do it.
The chimes of Big Ben. Because we need more prisoner imagery in this.
Even better than I anticipated.
Okay, Mac. I'll go and see how strong his nerves are.
So now Joe is rapping at the window in his little jetpack. And I have to say, as much as I love the HD transfer, sometimes the miniature figures in the model sequences do not look very good. And this little figure of Joe is particularly naff.
Hello, Clayton. Interesting chimes you have there.
That car. How did you drive it past the gates?
Car? What car?
Clear off, you lunatic!
This must have been so much fun to perform as well. Just for 1 week only, all your characters have to be completely mad. It's brilliant.
Who's that?
I realise this episode may not be to everybody's taste. I know this series is not to everybody's tastes.
Who is it?
But I have always loved this one. And I don't know if it's just because it's so atypical or because I just find it so funny. Not in, like, laugh riot comedy funny, but just sort of strange and surreal funny. Ooh. Bedroom windows are being blown open. Pulled open by Joe.
Who's there?
It's a boy on a jetpack.
See you down there, Mr. Clayton.
I also like as well that they chose the Colonel White puppet to play Clayton. Because he does have a sternness, but I think
all this happened
the fact that he looks...
That's right.
And you say the boy then flew out the window?
Yes, the same one who played the trumpet. What do you look at me like that for?
Well, just how could he have flown?
It does also remind you of the sillier moments of Colonel White, where he was absolutely barking mad and yelling at people for...
The police, sir.
Treating his desk like a rest centre and various things.
Boy and his lunatic father.
Well, we'll leave you...
Because even though his hair is dark now rather than white, you do look at him and think, it's Colonel White, it's always Colonel White.
Sam Louver, River Police. Do a lot of work underwater, undercover, under stones, underpaid. Understand you're in trouble.
I don't believe it.
Can I get you a drink of water?
I'm in my happy place. I'm in my happy place with this episode.
Listen. Well, there it is again.
No, sir. Sir.
One thing I don't understand with this episode, though, is,
Why, I never felt better in my life. You're fired. Fired, do you hear?
how Molyneux didn't hear the trumpet playing then. They could easily have snuck in a quick line to say, yeah, we knew he was in the army, because Clayton said that earlier. It would have been so easy to sneak in a line where he said, you know, there was I can't hear much these days because a bomb or something went off near my ear and damaged my hearing. But it almost, for that one moment, makes it look like Molyneux is in on the plot. And there's nothing in the rest of the episode to suggest that he is. It's the four wind lads working alone. Anyway, they've brained Joe up again. Who's he going to be this time?
The brain pattern of the world's leading mimic.
Shall I try it, Dad?
Yes, Joe.
I think...
I think you've done a marvellous job, Sam.
Hey, that was great. You've got Mac's voice exactly, Joe.
And I don't know to what extent a child could mimic an adult's voice.
Know what day it is.
That's right.
Now we can really work on Clayton.
But again, it's puppets, so it doesn't matter. The voice is perfectly synced to the lip movements anyway.
Is that you, Stuart?
Is that you, Stuart?
That's it, Joe.
So it doesn't matter that this is absolute absurdity.
Oh, it's ringing.
Is that you, Stuart? Come over to my home immediately.
Joe hasn't got the phone
And listen, wear fancy dress.
up to his ear.
That's what I said, fancy dress. Don't argue, just do it. And tell Evans to do the same. Yes, it's a party. Stuart, if you two want to remain members of the board, you better get over here, fast.
Great, Joe. Just great.
I also love that a World Security Organization is dedicated to just wasting time like this now.
What are you two trying to do?
Well, you called me on the telephone.
I know.
So Evans is dressed as a cowboy and Stuart is dressed as a court jester.
Come on, who's behind all this?
I think we'd better leave.
Fancy dress. Trying to make me think I'm seeing things, eh? Hallucinations, eh? Who's that?
And as strange as it must seem for them to have to do this,
We phoned for a doctor.
they're still the ones who made the choice of costume.
Who's sick, eh? You're not saying I'm sick?
Take it easy, I
And
think.
here's a slightly different look for the Colonel White puppet. He suddenly looks very panic-stricken. The eyes are completely different to normal. I'm not sure
You?
if that's a
Checked on you.
a
RCNCWIN.
That's right.
Shane Weston is now here as a doctor, by the way.
I am. How long has he been?
Yeah, I would love to know what the origins of that scared Colonel White puppet head
In
are.
fact, get out. All of you.
If it's a modified smiling head or angry head from the Captain Scarlet days.
Say 6 a.m. tomorrow? See you down there.
Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out!
So Clayton has now lost Molyneux, Evans, and Stewart. He's now very much alone.
If this works, Mac, it'll be a clincher.
But the Wing Gang still aren't done with him yet.
Sam. Shane Weston managed...
Again, there could be some, huge international spy disaster unfolding at this very moment, and the head of the World Intelligence Network is playing practical jokes.
Ready to start transmission in 30 seconds.
But who cares?
This end, Professor. Ready, Joe?
Ready? This is...
This is Ralph Clayton. This is...
So Shane and Joe are back at the cottage in a makeshift television studio. I noticed the TV camera they've got there has Win TV printed on the side of it. I've never noticed that before.
The river reaches through
I've seen this episode so many times, I've never noticed that. Anyway,
and the wild.
Ralph Clayton is now at home trying to relax, watching TV. And here come Mac and Sam to ruin his evening.
One world may wander like a cloud o'er vales and hills in this blessed land.
We interrupt this program for a special telecast. Tonight, we are privileged to have Ralph Clayton of Clayton Enterprises in the studio.
No.
Ralph Clayton.
Good evening.
No.
So this is Joe pretending to be Clayton being beamed directly onto Clayton's TV.
Submission. And still stay inside the law.
It's such a clever idea. We don't need to spend too much time with it.
See you down there, Mr. Clayton.
But all of this has clearly had an impact on Clayton. He's having nightmares about it all now.
World intelligence.
Undercover. Understones.
See you down there, Mr. Clayton.
Who are you?
I realise this may not come across on audio
BSC.
very well. I don't know to what extent people who've never seen this episode are following the plot of this.
World intelligence.
Do a lot of work underwater, undercover, understones, underpaid. Understand you're in trouble.
Ralph Clayton.
But I do genuinely appreciate how well this one does a comedy episode with a slightly serious vein without going too much for the laughs. Anyway, Clayton now can't sleep. It's, 5:45 in the morning now?
Have you got the documents, Joe?
Yes, Dad. Everything's ready. Uncle Sam telephoned Clayton. He knows we're coming.
Oh, Clayton looks so...
It's open.
so small in his big house and so alone.
Good morning, Mr. Clayton.
All right. The antidote. How much do you want for it?
Not a penny. Just a signature. My son Joe has the documents in question. I presume you have a pen.
But this is too much. It says here.
It says you will pay back all the money you have made by your smart tricks.
I won't do it.
I think you ought to, Mr. Clayton.
Molyneux.
See you down there, Clayton.
Oh dear.
Wait.
They're being so cruel to this guy, it's wonderful.
Knees for all the little men you've crushed.
Because in a way it's only what he's brought on himself through all his dodgy business dealings and
Fine.
All right.
utter lack of pity or sympathy for all the people whose businesses he's ruined over the years.
All your hallucinations.
Here comes the cure.
They look like jelly babies.
Yes, they do, don't they? That's it. Take one.
That's it. And that is, again, an odd foreshadowing of another British cult TV character who also liked jelly babies.
Healthy mind, healthy body.
There was no drug, and there was a logical explanation for everything that happened. You think about it, Clayton.
So Clayton has now vowed to pay back all his debts. He's got a bag of jelly babies, but he's also got a new outlook on life.
Molyneux?
Is anything wrong, Mr. Clayton?
No, Jim. It's just good to see you back.
Well, thank you, sir.
I think we might think about a rise for you, Jim.
Yay! Molyneux's getting a raise.
Thank you, sir.
Ah, Stuart. How are we this morning?
Fine, as yet.
I love that.
Have a jelly baby.
I love that, because even though Stuart is such a minor character in this episode, it's clear that he has been...
Yes, it took a young boy and a jelly baby.
He's been put through the ringer in this episode as well by watching his
Work
boss
to do. Honest work.
mentally deteriorating before his eyes. But that's not going to be a problem anymore. Clayton has been fixed of all his bad business ethics, and as we leave the City of London, we leave my favourite episode of Joe 90, and that is an episode that if you are on the fence about this series, I would urge you to give a look. I know for a fact that I have converted more than one person into a Joe 90 fan as a result of saying, just watch this one episode. It is completely at odds with the rest of the series and what you would expect a Jerry Anderson show to be, but at the same time it is just hugely entertaining. On its own merits, it is a kind. I suppose it does kind of point the way towards the humour that would begin to creep in with the Secret Service, which I would say probably took this kind of humour to extremes. Here, it is perfectly balanced between a lovely, simple little story with a nice moral core that has this hugely surreal element behind it that actually, as Max said, there is, there was a perfectly logical explanation for everything that happened, and that was absolutely right. So please go and watch this one if you haven't seen it. Always one of my favourites. Love this episode. Love Joe 90. Happy 100 to the Randomiser.